Hey y'all, this is Marley K. Hope everybody is well. I wanted to share this story with you. It came out on yesterday, and it is about a huge communications outage in Charlotte, North Carolina. And it was AT&T, which was the mobile phone company that had the outage. Now, I'm just showing this to you for preparation purposes. It's not to incite fear, but also so that you can just use it as a data point to see how frequently all these different things are happening like all at once so that you can prepare for what you're going to do if you don't have communications, especially if your cell phone is the only method of communication that you have. So you should have an alternative way to communicate with other people. But um, sometimes like AT&T for some people will be their mobile phone carrier, but some people have AT&T for internet and home service, broadband service. So depending on the type of communication outage there is, you may not have any way to communicate with anyone. So again, you need to be proactive instead of reactive and having a plan for what to do in the event there are no communications. Whether if you have family members, should everybody come home immediately? If you know if there's an outage, and you could check and find out if there's an outage in your area, perhaps you can come up with some type of um, plan or process on how to do what you need to do, because I think personally these are my thoughts, that these are drills for when the real thing comes, to see how people will react, to see if people will tolerate it, for how long they'll tolerate it, kind of like they did with the um, pandemic and the lockdowns back in 2020, 2021. So there's a lot of prodding and probing going on right now, and most people don't really understand it because they're not seeing all the pieces clearly. There's the universal basic income piece, there's the threats to the cities, there's all kinds of stuff going on. And then the fact that the cybersecurity guy announced his retirement yesterday, I was like, what? So I expect all kind of shenanigans to be happening. But anyway, let's get into this story.
Have cell phone service.
I know. This is all we've been talking about. If you are waking up without cell service, you're not alone. There is a nationwide outage with multiple services, including Verizon, T-Mobile, but AT&T users being affected the most in major cities, including right here in Charlotte. According to
Okay, so you heard that. Multiple carriers in major cities, which is why I keep telling y'all the city is not going to be no place nice. It's not going to be where you want to be when something happens. So even if you are in the city, have a plan to get out, or have a plan to move to a different location and bug out someplace else, with or without communications, with or without power, with or without transportation. If you have transportation, cool, but what if you don't have transportation? Do you have a plan to get out? And a lot of times people do not. So, really be thinking about these types of things.
Down Detector, it's a website that tracks outages. It shows a spike starting around 4 this morning.
At this point, we don't know why this is happening. There's no explanation so far from the carriers, but CMPD posting this on social media this morning saying that it's aware of the outage. The department also says customers were briefly unable to contact 911, but there are no disruptions. The statement.
Okay, so you see, they could not contact 911. Not that they're going to help you while you're in crisis anyway, when the real thing happens, because it's just not going to be enough first responders, and it may not be any services at all. So I'm telling you, if you have not read that book, 1 Second After, by William Fortson, you really should get that book. Like, it is the most realistic scenario of what life is going to be like the moment stuff goes down and doesn't come back up. So again, be proactive instead of being reactive. Consider these things like probes. They're doing them in the middle of the night. They hope you don't know. Um, People who are awake and notice that they don't have cell phone service, I guess, caught it. But, they're reporting on this well over into the morning. And so people don't have mobile service. If you need your phone for work, if you need your phone to communicate with your children, if you have sick family members, if you do business, like, it's a huge inconvenience. And a lot of people only have mobile phones now. Most people got rid of the landlines because it just, in their opinion, didn't make any sense. And it was more convenient to have a mobile phone. But what we've done is traded our stability for convenience. And now we're stuck with these things. And it's wild when you think about all the ways that we've been tricked via comfort and convenience and ease to disarm us and get us to um, get rid of the things that would actually keep us safe and be stable and a source for us in the event something like this happened.
Is a bit confusing, so we're trying to get more information about it. That last line where it says service should be returning shortly, I'm not sure if they're talking about overall service, if some other service, and if CMPD is privy to information that we don't have from the carriers. So it's a little confusing, but shedding a little bit of light at the same time.
Kind of scary because, if you have AT&T and you have a serious situation,
Yeah.
you need to get in contact with somebody, that's frightening.
Well, the Today Show touched on it this morning, and they said other cities like San Francisco, LA, Houston, Chicago, Atlanta dealing with this, and San Francisco still saying you cannot call 911. They're not getting calls, and that they're urging people to use a landline right now. And we know that many people don't have a landline right now.
It's probably less than 10% of people that still have a landline.
Yeah,
it seems. I know my parents just ditched it at their house, and they had my number for
What do you
20
all
plus
have
years.
right now? I have one small bar.
I have AT&T, and mine says SOS at the top. So
We have AT&T.
yeah, and
Verizon, it's no problem.
well, they said this morning on the Today Show, again, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and they also said, NBC was reporting, AT&T, we said spiked around 4, and then they said that dipped and they started resolving some issues and it spiked way back up again, which is very concerning. Yeah. So they said it was like they tried to fix it and then it spiked back up. So
and even higher than before.
Are they going to be able to resolve it again? And none of the carriers have commented.
This goes to show that cyber threats are a big thing.
Now, we don't know if that's the
we
deal.
don't know.
A lot of people are speculating online.
Yeah. But if that happened, we know seriously it could be.
Sure.
Potentially could be. Yeah.
John chiming in, he says,
See, little old man, they trying to shut him up. Buddy Rose say, look at here, the computer people is hacking stuff. It was like, no, we don't know that. We don't know what happened. But how do you explain all of the carriers going down at the same time? Unless it was coordinated by all the carriers and the hidden hands who never have nothing to say but control everything. Or hackers. I mean, what else? Like, come on, all these people don't work together. They don't, I'm not saying that they don't work together, because of course we know they work together. They go to all these big globalist meetings and to Rome to see the Pope. So we know they work together. But how could you explain AT&T and T-Mobile and Verizon all having outages at the same exact time? And then this story that I was bringing you about the cyber security threat, it's wild.
his service is just fine. No outages so far with him. So.
And also, John says he does not have a landline, so that's the big issue, that we don't have that second choice.
I think the big issue too is liability. I mean, if someone is going, through an emergency or needs first responders,
especially 911. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's so scary.
So what happens after that?
Yeah, that's really frightening.
Yeah.
Okay, you heard what Sister Girl said. Sister Girl said who's liable, who's in charge, who's responsible if 911 is down and there's a nobody. You better be able to save your own self. Period. You better have a team of people in your community. It's nice to know if people work in healthcare. There's some nurses or doctors in your community, CNAs, whatever. You better be trying to have your own medicine. You better be trying to figure out um, if you need anything, what could help heal you. If you have reoccurring issues, chronic health issues, you better know what to do. You better not be waiting on 911. If you know you need an ambulance, you better have a backup plan because this is getting real.
It really is. This is just kind of an awakening moment that you realize how reliant we are on our cell phones.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, and especially if you're talking about these lines affecting 911 services, about how we're all attached to that, even here at the TV station with Wi-Fi and everything like that. So really, hopefully, it's going to be resolved
One thing
soon.
a lot of people don't realize, I still have landline. Landline service is there forever. If the power goes out, it still works.
Yeah.
Because it's a line. It's a direct line. And I think this is reaffirming the fact that it's something to think about in a serious situation, in a catastrophe. Landline can save a life, but most people don't have it. It's old school to have it, but you may say, well, maybe that's something to have. It is. There's an expense to it, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But in an emergency like San Francisco, that could save a life.
And
Exactly.
coincidentally, our landlines here at the station went down late yesterday. I think I was seeing from the emails. So, I think that was just an outside source.
Actually,
is the
that's
Ring
not-
Central?
Ring Central is not. That's actually over the internet.
Oh, that's over the
It
internet?
is over the
Okay, so
internet.
still
It's
cell
not- it's
service.
not
So
landline.
Ring
Look at Papa schooling young blood. Papa say, "Oh no, I know what a landline is." So I was one of those people too who believed in having a landline and a cell phone. But my cheap ex-husband was like, "We don't need both. Let's get rid of them." And I was like, "Well, if there's a storm and we lose power or towers go down, we won't have cell service, but at least we'll have a landline. We'll be able to call out and talk to people." And he could not understand that. All he could see is the money part. And sometimes, some things are worth the extra money. And I know a lot of y'all men folk be like, pinching pennies, but sometimes you have pinch pennies in other places. It's like my ex, he would buy big TVs, and I'm not a TV watcher, so I never saw the point of all the huge TVs. Every time a new big TV came out, they gotta have it plastered up on the wall. But you'd spend money for that in one whop. But monthly, you would not pay for a landline and have your mobile phone in the event that there was something like this that happened. And for us, we lived in South Florida, so you could be hit by a hurricane or bad winds anytime. So people have made choices, and now we're extremely limited with what we have access to because so few people want landlines. The demand for them are down. And so, it's going to be very hard for these companies to just go back to putting those in. And a lot of people just don't even have the wherewithal to just come to the conclusion that, hey, I might need to have a landline and a mobile phone. Once the mobile phones go out, we don't have any communications at all. And it's just wild to think, I've lived without telephone. When I was young, I didn't have a phone. I didn't have, if I need to talk to people, the people I need to talk to was around me in walking distance. I could just walk and go talk to them. So now, my children are adults, and I have one son in one county and one in Charlotte. So, it's not like he can walk to talk to me and get to me quickly. I can't communicate with him to find out if he's okay. And, this reinforces for me the need to talk to these young people, especially your 30, your 20-year-olds and your 30 somethings. Like these young people, they don't know what's coming, especially those silly city dwellers, people who love the city. They think about fun and all the things they can do in the city life. That city life is going to be a living hell when all hell breaks loose. And so, make sure that you are having serious conversations with your 30 somethings, at least get on their mind, having a plan to get out of the city if they're your loved one and get to someplace safer, or have plans when communications and power go out so they are not harmed, because we got to try to protect our people as best we can. And sometimes they may not want to hear some truths, but this is a truth that could um, make you look good, cause you to be wise, and perhaps they'll come and listen to you once they are in a safe place and remember, or are able to recall the safety information that you give them to prepare them for what's coming.
Central is another one
Yeah.
that we had an issue
Yeah.
here that affected our station.
That's
So.
a good question, though, because
yeah.
the CMPD, I would think that they're probably relying on landlines, right?
Yeah,
So they can't
they
get
have
the
that
calls.
as a backup, yes.
They can't get
Okay,
the calls.
so they can't get them. It's not, but they can connect. I mean,
Well,
obviously.
CMPD said
Again,
they
it's
resolved the issue, but San Francisco was the one that's saying right now they haven't resolved the issue and they're urging people to use a
Right.
landline.
Joy, I just
Yeah.
want to chime in because Joyce made several comments. Yeah, Joy, that you're sort of explaining the problem that some people
Yeah.
have, is that if you don't have a landline, what do you need to do at 911, which is clearly the fear for a lot of people here in Charlotte and across the country. Although, again, CMPD seems to think that, at least according to their statement, that they've got the situation
Well,
under control.
supposedly,
If you need 911, you just ain't gonna have it. Period. You might as well get used to it, because soon 911 ain't gonna work anyway. When they take down all the communications, they being the boogeyman, because that's the name I'm gonna give whoever is doing all this stuff. When the boogeyman takes down all the communications and the power grid and screws over the water and uh, deals with the energy and transportation, like we're just going to be stuck. Even 911 won't work, because 911 won't be able to get fuel. 911 vehicles may not work. They got a lot of high-tech equipment in them. Police cars may not start if the grid goes down, because hey, they're modern cars. They ain't going to be able to start up. A lot of police departments don't have older vehicles. They've been selling their older vehicles, and even if they had older vehicles, they don't have vehicles from the 70s and 80s that can transport people. Those things been gone. They're crushed up, they're sold, they are shipped overseas to other places, wholesale, and in other countries right now, sitting on lots for people to buy. So you're just gonna be out of luck if you need 911, which is why, again, you need to have a way to protect yourself. You need to have a method to care for yourself if there is a disaster, fire, medical need. You can't rely on 911 going forward. You need to understand that. So, being on TV, like I'm on Facebook. I have internet, but I may not have phone service. What am I supposed to do? And you texting, or on social media talking to the news people about what he's supposed to do. It's not their responsibility. It's your responsibility to be proactive and take care of yourself and have a plan for yourself. This is what our society has come to, and this is why it's going to be super chaotic when things happen, because people are stupid. People are real stupid now. I'm, not trying to make light of it, and I'm not trying to disparage people, but people are stupid. People are very ignorant, and they don't have common sense. I would never be putting my face in the comment on television like, what do I do if I need 911? Honey, you just gonna need 911, ma'am. You just gonna need them, because they're not coming, because you can't call them unless you know a neighbor that has a landline. And today people are so transient. People don't know their neighbors, so you don't know what people have, and people aren't inclined to let you enter their homes or let you know what they do have, because people have shown themselves to be so unfriendly and so unworthy of having such access to, folks who are forward thinking or proactive. So again, it's going to be chaos out here in these streets if you got to be in them.
You know, if you have a cell phone and you lose the vendor, you should still be able to make a 911 phone call regardless.
I think so,
that's,
too.
That's the way it's set up with cell phones.
Oh, it is set up?
Yeah, regardless of carrier, you should be able
Well,
to
then
call.
why are
An
they
emergency.
saying that they're not working?
Because their call center, I think, was actually down with their data. Yeah.
They talked about this, so we were kind of talking about this in
So the call center, the 911 call center is down. How does the 911 call center go down at the same time as the cell phone service go down? It got to be coordinated, but who's coordinating it? The boogeyman. That's who's doing it. The boogeyman. So the boogeyman or boogeymen are out here doing stuff, testing, prodding. It's February. Imagine what it's going to be like in April. Just imagine. And going forward, imagine as we get closer to October, November, when it's time for the elections, and afterwards. This is just a prelude. It's a prepping. They've telegraphed what they're going to do, and those who are wise and awakened are planning. Those who are ignorant are not.
the newsroom during the broadcast, because we had this on our morning show, obviously, as well. And we were trying to figure out, at least producers were trying to figure out if they should put that in the script, because obviously there's no way for us to test that. We've got a couple of producers that are AT&T customers that are seeing, the SOS, but obviously we can't test an emergency call. So we kind of just left it out of the script until we could figure out what to say.
John.
So did you hear her say they left it out of the script? They were going to test 911, but they left it out of the script. Pay attention to what they're saying.
Oh, no. Melissa chiming in saying her son's phone is AT&T, working fine, but her daughter has AT&T and her daughter's phone has the SOS at the top.
And Robert, our director, looked it up for us. 27% of people have landlines, so only roughly about a quarter.
I mean, didn't we do a story recently about they were talking about doing away with landlines because it was too expensive to maintain them because such a small percent of people had them? We just read that story in the newscast a few days ago.
I believe.
Okay, you heard that right. So now they're going to make sure you don't have any way to communicate if they do away with landline service. So because so few people kept landlines, if they do away with them, everybody will be in the same position. It's easy for them to just be like, we're going to do away with them this year. And then what do? You don't have any way to communicate with anyone. So this is what, this is this predictive programming. They've been doing this stuff to us for the last 30, 40 years, priming us for 2030. And we were asleep. We didn't know what we were getting into. Nobody was suspicious except for us conspiracy theorist-minded people. And we are right as always. And everybody else is looking crazy and still don't know what's coming.
Believe it.
But still, that's more than a quarter of people. I mean, a quarter of people.
Well, closing in on 30%, so.
Yeah, I mean, still a substantial
No, that's a good
amount.
thing, though. With her daughter and son having two different connection issues, I wonder if they're in two different areas.
So my husband, he said his phone was fine, but we live outside of Charlotte.
Exactly.
So I almost wondered all these big cities that are having issues. If you're outside the city with your phone, then is it okay?
It's a tower
I don't know.
situation,
Is it a
so,
it's
Where he is outside of town, that tower is okay. Inside, maybe.
Yeah,
there are issues.
We have somebody else here is from Lancaster, one of our engineers, and he has an SOS. So kind of that area, Union County to Lancaster. So it's spotty all over the place. I don't think there's really just usually when there's power outages, you can say, oh, this area, this area, this area, but it's all over the place, which makes it interesting and complex.
Clearly, a lot we do not know as of 7:41 this morning. So, folks, just hang in there. Hopefully, we'll find out some more information. We'll be keeping you posted online at WCNC.com and on air as well during the Today Show, and then again coming up at midday. Have a great day. We'll see you.
All right, family. It's getting real out here. It's getting real. This came out 67 minutes ago. This is WCNC in Charlotte. It's a North Carolina station. I'll include a link in the description. But I wanted to share this with you because I want you to understand that this is happening in major cities. It cannot be by accident. It ain't happening in the country. If you on the countryside, it's not happening. Why is that? If hackers, the boogeyman or whomever is doing the things or whatever is going on, you can't tell me it's not coordinated, because how else would you explain major cities but not the whole nation, different areas, the cell phone, the 911 call centers are down. So it looks like, these are tests. This just me, and I got my tinfoil hat on this morning, baby. I am working the tinfoil hat. But I will say this: keep prepping, keep praying, keep seeking the Most High. Pray daily for our people so that they will wake up. Repent of your sins of commission and sins of omission. Cry out to the Most High, because the adversary is so busy. Like there is like no way we're going to be able to protect ourselves from all these things that are coming upon this earth. And we haven't even made it to April when the X comes and the earthquakes and the sky falls and the aliens come and the water stuff come out of the water and the giants wake up, and heaven forbid, whatever is in the earth is coming out. So we got a lot of things we got to deal with. We have a lot of challenges, but we know Yahweh, Yahuwah got us covered. If you believe, if you have faith, if you love him with all your heart and all your soul, that is the only thing that is going to save us, because the adversary working through people is super busy. His plans are working. And for those who are asleep, which is 2/3 of the population, apparently, it's going to be ugly. So this is just the beginning again. And as a watchman, all I'm doing is sharing with you some of the things that are going on across the country and across the world, so that we can watch and know that the time is ending, the time is near, tribulation is close. We are in labor, about to go through some birthing pains. The old is dying and the new thing is about to be born. So this is going to be an ugly time for us. But let us rejoice, because our captivity is ending. All right, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification so that you'll be notified each and every time I upload new content, if YouTube allows it. We live in a prison planet. In the event that this channel goes down, I will upload content to Rumble. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I do not post there regularly, but in the event that we do have service and I'm able to communicate, I will communicate with you using those platforms. Lastly, if you'd like to support the channel, links are in the description for my Venmo and Coffee. This is a labor of love. We do not receive any contributions from outside sources. We don't sell anything, and this channel is not monetized. So, again, keep prepping. Have your own plans for communications, how you're going to deal with emergencies, because you may not have 911. You're likely not going to have a 911. So whatever your problem is, you're going to be stuck with dealing with it. And this is the realest I can say it to you. You've had a perfect example of people questioning the same thing. Um, and clearly they don't have plans. What do I need to do if I have 911? You need to fend for yourself. That's what you need to do. That's my suggestion to you. Have a plan on how you're going to take care of your own emergencies. So make sure you have fire extinguishers, water hoses. Make sure you have, maybe some sand or some things around your house to put out fires if you need to put out a fire. If you need to move, transport people or whatever in the event of an emergency, make sure you have your vehicles in order. Make sure you have fuel. Keep your cars fueled. If you need medicine, make sure you have those. Don't let your medicines get down and just think, oh, well, I'm going to go to the drugstore. I'm going to fill that order later. If you require medicine in order to stay alive, then you better make sure you have your stuff and quit playing around. Same with if you have any chronic health issues. If you're chronically ill, have a plan on what to do if something goes wrong. If you have elderly parents and things that are back and forth to the hospital, make sure you have a plan, because anything can happen now and nobody's coming to save you, especially if you can't communicate with them. It could even be your family members. You may need somebody to come help you in your family that may not live close by, and you can't call them. So what are you going to do? So you got to plan while you still can. Plan while the sun is still out. Plan while times are still halfway good. You can go to the store and get stuff. Make some sacrifices. And again, I keep telling you, if you have resources, if you have money, if you got a 401k, if you got savings or whatever, you better use that money while you can to do things for yourself, because nobody is coming to your aid. You are going to be the savior you are looking for. All right, this is Marley K. I'm done preaching and I'm out.